So we need to specify that piece of function inside of the form action or the like.
Yeah, that's correct. We have
Mm-hmm.
already specified it, right?
Okay, okay.
But how you will identify? You have specified it in action,
Huh, huh,
right?
huh.
That
Yeah,
submit customer
yes.
method, you have specified it in action. But
Mm-hmm.
how you will identify? Okay, this submit customer form is a
Hmm.
server action. Is there any way to identify it?
Like we can directly write that actions inside of the current directory or somewhere else, and we can export that function.
Okay, okay. You have written in the current directory as well, but how you will identify this is server action? Right, that
Huh,
method is
huh.
you have already used it in a separate file or the same component file, but
Hmm.
is there any identifier like from where you can identify
Yeah,
this is
like I
server
think
action?
at the start of the file we need to specify that, right?
What you will specify?
Like,
That's what
huh,
I'm
huh. Like use server, right?
exactly right.
Hmm.
That's what I'm asking. Right.
Hmm. Yeah, for
So whenever
use.
you will write that use server, that will be identified as a server action, right? So
Yes, yes.
okay, okay,
By
okay.
default,
Have
all the
you
components in Next.js is server-side components. If
right?
we want to write any client-side code, then we must need to specify that at the top of the React component.
Correct, correct,
Hmm.
right. So have you used parallel routing
Yeah,
in Next?
so parallel routing is a new concept in next app routing module. For example, so I had this situation. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
we are having a route which
Mm-hmm.
displays products. Consider slash
Mm-hmm.
products. I will show the
Mm-hmm.
list of products, and
Mm-hmm.
so this parallel routing I have implemented in one of the edtech product. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain that only, so you will be getting that.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
Mm-hmm.
like we so the product is mock interview, like mock test platform, where
Mm-hmm.
we will be selling out the like we do have MCET, IIT, JMS, JEE advanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those students who are preparing for the entrance test exams, they can purchase them
Mm-hmm.
to get the
Mm-hmm.
good marks in real exams. So
Okay.
we have bundled a group of packs into a pack. So we will be
Mm-hmm.
listing down all the packs, and
Mm-hmm.
so that is one route. Slash packs is will be showing
Mm-hmm.
list of the packs, and after that we will
Mm-hmm.
be having the pack ID to display its own contents.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the user goes into that specific path, they will be seeing the whole page.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Mm-hmm.
they are inside of the packs route, where we will be listing down all the packs, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of list view, when they
Mm-hmm.
click on that pack ID, we will be popping up
Mm-hmm.
the model to
Mm-hmm.
like kind of quick view.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Okay.
will be shown in the model. If they refresh,
Mm-hmm.
they will be going to that specific path with the complete view. So that is
Okay.
how the parallel routing works.
Yeah. So whatever you mentioned, right?
Hmm.
That's intercepting route. Okay. That's a
Okay.
concept of intercepting route, which you mentioned, right? Like
Hmm.
you'll see some kind of summarized view on the model, and then when you refresh it, you'll see the detailed view,
Hmm. Hmm.
right, of
Yeah.
that route. So
Yeah.
that's intercepting route. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's intercepting route. What you mentioned, that is intercepting route.
Hmm.
Parallel routing. Have you used it like at the rate in your folder structure, something like that? If
Uh,
you can recall it.
yeah, I have
It's
used
like
that is for this case only, right?
no, it's intercepting is a different way.
Hmm.
Parallel routing is for a different purpose.
Okay. Okay. No, I'm not able
Okay,
to recall it. Sorry.
okay,
Hmm.
that's fine. That's completely fine. So okay, in React, you may have used hooks, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So what type of hooks have you used it apart from that? Use state and use effect.
Use callback, use memo I used, and mm, yeah, mostly them only, and other
Okay,
third party hooks for Redux, use selector, those kind.
okay. Okay. So why you have used use callback and use memo?
So use callback and use memo are the memoization hooks where it can be used to improve the performance of the application.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, this is kind of caching technique. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, putting the too much of load on client side won't be a good experience for the users. So
Mm-hmm.
how this use memo and use callback works is like, for example, we do have a child of array of child elements where we needed to render lot of things, and
Mm-hmm.
creating the reusable function for every child would be will increase the size of the memory in the client side. So rather than making that, like, we can memorize the function, memorize the pure function, pure functions, right? Pure functions doesn't
Mm-hmm.
change its output for a different for same input. So those kind of
Mm-hmm.
functions we can memorize it, so that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't recreate the function again and again for every child. So only one instance would be there, and the same instance would be used across the child elements. So use
Okay.
callback is for the functions, and use memo is to for the values only.
Okay.
So if we have the high computation value, then we can
Okay.
memorize it.
Okay. Okay. Fine. I have shared my screen.
Yeah,
If you can see it.
yeah, I
Okay.
can.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see the notepad.
Yeah, so I have written four counter variables and I have
Hmm.
this use effect and one handle click event listeners and
Hmm.
here it's my button.
Hmm.
Okay, and I'm printing this, right? This values
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
So forget about these values. Yeah, it's converted. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So what will be the value for this like on an initial load, what will be the value for this counter 1, counter 2, counter 3 and render count, and what will be the value when you will hit button only once? Okay,
Hmm.
so what can you give me that output, like what will be the output for this? You can see the code.
Yeah, yeah, I can
It's
able to
visible,
see.
right?
Huh, huh. Set count. So we do have on click, handle click function, and
So mostly I will be expecting this counter 1, counter 2, counter 3 and render count values. Okay,
hmm.
initial on initial load and when you will click button only once.
Okay. So for counter one and set counter one, or two times, like, we'll be having only one and one, because it is an async state updations in the set
Okay.
counter one and set counter one, and the third set counter one would be
So
two.
what will be the output on initial load? Like when we don't click the button on an initial load,
Zero zero should be there.
all will be zero. Counter
Yeah.
one, counter two, counter three, and render count all will be zero.
Mm, for this use effect, so it would be executed.
Mm-hmm.
I think for render count we can put as one.
Initially,
Huh.
okay, this will be one.
Hmm.
Okay, and what will happen if you click button?
After clicking the button, counter 1 would be like you are expecting line by line output or the
No,
op.
I'm expecting these output only. This counter one,
Hmm.
this much output. I'm expecting like what will be the
Okay,
output
okay,
uh, after we click button. So initially you said counter one, counter two, counter three will be zero, and render count will be one.
hmm.
Right? What will be the output when you click button only once?
Okay, so the counter 1 would be 2.
Okay.
Counter 2 would be 3. Counter 2,
Okay.
counter 3 would be 1 only.
Okay. And the render count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 8.
Render count will be 8.
Hmm.
Okay. How you calculated this?
So here,
Counter one, two.
like set counter 1 and set counter 1 would be async flow, and when they
Mm-hmm.
try to find, it would be finding 0 only. 0 plus 1 1
Mm-hmm.
and 0 plus 1 1,
Okay.
and the set counter will have an updated value because we are
Okay.
taking the previous one, and 1 plus
Okay.
1 would be 2.
Okay.
And for this, like set counter 1, 0 plus 1 1 and 1 plus 1 2, and here also we do have 2 plus 1, that would become 3,
Okay.
and this is same, 0 plus 1 1.
Okay. And what about render count?
Like how many times we update this, that many times would be executed. Previously we have 1, and these are the 7 statements,
Okay.
and 7 updations.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Have you used fragments?
Yeah, fragments are empty braces where we used
Yeah.
to group the multiple elements together.
Okay. So there are two ways of writing fragments, right? One is with empty angular bracket, another is with the help of
Fragment.
fragment keyword, right?
Yeah.
So what is the difference between these two? What is the core difference between these two?
No, I'm not like haven't encountered this situation, but yeah, mostly used empty braces only.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Have you used like, or maybe like, I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
Um, Suppose I have one page,
Hmm.
okay, and in my page there are four widgets,
Okay.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Assume like maybe one widget is like showing my overall product count, okay.
Hmm.
Another widget would be something like which is showing my customer informations, right?
Hmm.
And maybe third widget is something like how many items are in my cart or something like that, okay.
Hmm.
So let's assume these are the three widgets. So these three widgets uh, data will be derived from a different services,
Okay.
okay. And what I want to do is like I don't want to hold that complete page, okay.
Hmm.
I don't want to hold that complete page to load. What I want is like if I get data for any of these services,
Hmm.
I'll start showing the data, and for others, by the time the data gets loaded, I'll show some loader or something like that. So how
Hmm.
we can accomplish this?
So through
You get my
axos or
question?
yeah, I got your question. Like for example, we do have 4 different types of widgets where we
Yes.
showing something different information on those widgets,
Yes.
and whichever data comes first we will be showing them up, and remaining
Right.
then we will be showing the loader. If the success
Correct.
comes, we'll show the data, or else we'll show the error message to them in the
Correct.
specific widget
Correct.
itself.
So I'm asking this on a React, on a basic React application. Okay.
Hmm.
Not on the next side. I'm asking this on the basic React side.
Yeah, got
So
it.
so how we will, like, my basic intent would be
Mm-hmm.
like how we can handle the loader, like until the other pages are getting loaded. So suppose first widget is
Yeah.
not loaded, your second widget is loaded, you show the data, and third and fourth is like not yet to load, and first is also yet to load. So you will start showing load on first, third, and fourth, right? So how
So
you will accomplish this?
using use query, like we'll can call the APIs, and we do have set of
Yeah,
methods.
yeah, don't go on the React query side. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going on the React query side, not on the service side. I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking on the UI side, like on the term side, like how you will handle it. Services, we know, we can wait for the services. Will once response receives, we do all those stuff. So not those kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how you'll show it on the UI side?
So you are expecting something like if some like for our div we can place that attribute is loading to true, then that complete
Okay,
div should be showing loader,
correct.
right?
Right. So it's a widget. So your widget should have a
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of what we can say, a fallback component, right? Until
Mm-hmm.
it's get loaded, you will show some fallback component, and once it's get loaded, you will show the actual component.
So the suspense you're expecting, right?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
So how you will do it with suspense?
So for suspense, by using like it expects the fallback thing where we can
Mm.
pass the fallback component until unless
Mm-hmm.
the inside of the child has the data.
Mm-hmm.
So it loads
So okay.
until the components completely loaded, and
Mm-hmm.
once it is loaded, it will show the component.
Okay, okay. So, so this way, will our problem gets resolved? What we discussed, like we have one, two, three, four widgets, and if we put it in, do we put in one suspense, or we may have a different suspense for all the widgets?
So we can create a global component to handle this situation, and we can make use of that component across these four widgets.
Okay. So you're saying like we'll wrap it in a global
Ha.
component, and
Yeah.
our global component will have a suspense.
Yeah.
But if we go that way,
Hmm.
and if we wrap like our global component in suspense,
Hmm.
then if our any of the data is not derived, then
Hmm.
we'll see loader on the whole page, right?
No, not wrapping up for the whole application, rather than
Mm-hmm.
creating a piece of component, and
Okay.
we can use that component wherever we require. For example, so consider
Mm-hmm.
this, so model component, right? So where
Mm-hmm.
we will be importing the model component, and inside of that we will be passing the body of the model, but the
Mm-hmm.
close and the footer actions and the title remains in the parent component itself.
Okay.
So we can make use of multiple instance of those model, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't need to be involved inside of the global page.
Mm-hmm.
So in that similar
Okay.
way we can create the component and we can reuse them.
Okay. Have you used portals?
Yeah, not exactly implemented native way, but yeah. So this model kind of things, everything will be using portals only. So portals are
Okay.
kind of thing where we will be loading the DOM separate from the component, as in
Mm-hmm.
separate from the like the main DOM, and rendering the
Okay.
content outside of the DOM.
Okay. Okay. And You have used Redux as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
Redux
what are
toolkit.
the key components of Redux,
Hmm.
and when you will plan to go for Redux?
So the Redux architecture derived from Flex architecture that was from Facebook. So the architecture contains the global store, means
Mm-hmm.
a state object which is a JavaScript
Mm-hmm.
object, and we
Mm-hmm.
do have a actions reducers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
actions are a piece of JavaScript object where it used to define the type of action to execute and the payload information.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be having reducers. Reducers are pure functions where it
Mm-hmm.
like it be like it has the access to direct state object. So through
Mm-hmm.
reducers only we can able to update the state. And
Mm-hmm.
coming to the Redux, we do have a multiple hooks
Mm-hmm.
to like dispatch these actions and to select the piece of state from the global store.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
we also have in-house state management using context API and useState.
Mm-hmm.
UseState is for the local component itself, and
Mm-hmm.
context API is also works as a global state management, but so that is not kind of a scalable option.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go for Redux, we will be having the clear instruction and a clear piece
Mm-hmm.
of functions where to update, which action to dispatch, and what data
Mm-hmm.
to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Okay.
for the bigger projects we can choose Redux for the simplicity, like for the
Mm-hmm.
developer experience. And we
Okay.
do have a slicing concept where we can
Mm-hmm.
slice it out the bigger state into multiple pieces where we don't require, like we are not supposed to bother about the other piece of the state management.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in larger e-commerce applications we will be having cart, user information, order details, everything. So if
Okay.
that contains in a single state object, then for developer also it would be quite heavy to work with them.
Mm.
And if we
Okay.
have the slicing concept, like we can slice it up and we can work on with our own slice.
Okay. Have you used Redux Thunk?
Yeah, Redux Thunk is a middleware to handle the async
Mm-hmm.
operations.
So, is it possible to develop our Redux application or React and Redux application without Thunk? Do we really need Thunk?
It doesn't require Thunk as per my experience, but having that one would be a great option to segregate all the async calls in a separate section.
Okay. Okay. And have you created any test cases in Playwright?
I usually write for my personal projects also I use Playwright. So,
Okay. So I'm just giving you one very small example.
mm-hmm,
Okay. Just tell me the approach that you
mm-hmm.
will choose to write test cases for this in Playwright. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So my username, there is my text box for username,
Mm-hmm,
there is my text box for password, and I have login button.
mm-hmm,
Okay, and this is my React application which is served in localhost 3000.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how you will write the Playwright test case for this, or what will be like your approach?
So we'll need to open that particular URL, and there are multiple methods available to select that input boxes. And once the
Mm-hmm.
input box is selected, we can input the data, kind of a
Mm-hmm.
mock data, and
Mm-hmm.
will be triggering events for that button, and
Okay.
we'll be testing. So if the login is success, we will be moving to other route, and we can set up multiple assertions. So if the login is success, we will be moving to other route. So we can
Mm-hmm.
set the route, or else if the login is failed, we will be having the error message in below to the form. So we can assert with that value whether the DOM contains that text or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is how we can write the test cases.
Okay. 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 Have you used Flexbox?
Yeah, flex, grid layout, media queries,
What is the
container.
concept of Flex? Why we need Flex?
So Flex is the like a layouting system for CSS. So previously, like before to the introduction of Flex, so we used to position the items in using a float, right, left, those things. So that is not kind of giving user a better user experience. After the introduction of Flex layouts, so Flex layout is the one way of arranging the items. For example, in order to make the div as a flex, we need to give display flex, and we do have multiple options such as justify content, align items, and the gap between them, and the flex direction. All these things we can make use of them to position the items or align the items.
Okay. Okay. So Venkatesh, I'm good with my questions.
Hmm.
So do you have any questions for me?
So I just want to know what are the expectations for this role.
Okay, so basically, what we are looking for
Hmm.
forward on this particular role is like a person who is having a pretty good experience on React,
Hmm.
and next as well as who can write some test cases on Playwright if required. Right,
Hmm.
so that is the basic intent of this particular role.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, sure.
okay,
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
okay. So thank you, Venkatesh. Thanks for your time. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.